Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello.
We are so happy because our conversation with Joao on the podcast last week,
Yep.
our immigration attorney, went so well, and we had so much information to provide you
We have a lot to talk about.
that this is part 2. So today's podcast is going to really be focused on what exactly Joao offers
Yep.
in terms of his services to help folks move to Portugal. And we're going to continue to let you guys in on our meeting with him last week and continue and find out how he might be able to help you if you are considering a move.
Yeah, and it's important to say as well that it's not, he can do a whole A to Z, or he can do the little bits and pieces that you are a little bit sketchy about doing or don't want to do, or whatever it is, whether it's a NIF, this or that or whatever.
Yeah, he can kind of cater it to what all your needs are.
Yeah.
And so we, again, we're just so happy to be in partnership with him, and we love him to death, and we trust him. And so he's the only immigration attorney we've worked with, and the only one that we highlight and
that
refer
we want to
people
support.
to. And because we don't know others, and we haven't experienced others.
No, we're not going to put out people to recommend and such like, unless we've had either a personal interaction with them or something like that. It's just really important to be very true about the content that we're giving.
So enjoy part 2 of Joao Madeira Pinto, immigration attorney in Portugal. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Take care. Have fun.
All right. So tell everybody what you do. So this is, we appreciate so much the overview of current events and all of that, but I also wanted everyone to understand what it is that you can help anyone with, right? If they're thinking of moving to Portugal, or you've already started the process of moving to Portugal, or the your visa or anything, I would love for you to share.
And you have a what if question.
What is it that you can provide in terms of services for those who are considering moving to Portugal?
Yes, so as a registered lawyer in Portugal, specialized in the immigration field, we support a large network of clients with this legal transition process from their home countries to Portugal. We are not talking exclusively of the US. We help in many other countries, but of course with the US expat community we have high presence because we work with this type of customers for a long time now. How we can help an American, just take as an example. The American customer, when you started your own process, you felt a little bit lost. There is so many information
a little bit.
Online.
A little bit this much.
Yeah, you feel like you can do everything by yourselves, using the guidelines, etc. But then when you are putting everything together and all the steps that need to be taken, you start feeling a little bit lost. Why? Because there are some points that you will never be assured if you follow the right path or not. And this is why it's very important, in my humble opinion, of course, to rely always on professional support. And why? Because a professional will be able to guide you through each step of the process. They actually know the process from A to Z because they have done that several times. So that experience will bring you knowledge. Second, I will highlight the fact that the clear understanding about the Portuguese immigration system, the legal rules that are behind it, will put you in a much more comfortable position to avoid mistakes, to meet your deadlines, to make sure that you are perfectly assured that you have a support member on this transition that will help you throughout the way, to do it with peace, because if you try to do by yourself, there is no obligation to hire anyone on the process, a legal consultant, a legal attorney, etc. But from our stats and from what we know, we understand that people who don't follow this assistance, they end up facing several problems on their relocation. And We are here to be problem solvers and to provide them the legal solutions that they need to follow up this transition. Coming to a new country is a challenge. We all know that, and that's why we have developed customized list of services that we help Americans with. So the starting point, for example, everyone knows that in order to relocate to Portugal, the first document that we will need to acquire for several purposes is the NIF, the tax identification number, and we can represent our customers obtaining this document with the Portuguese tax authorities. I highlight the fact that this document will be needed for you to sign your lease agreement in Portugal. This document will be needed if you want to buy property, if you want to buy a car, if you want to access healthcare. So without this document, you are prevented from several items and activities that are needed for this transition. Yeah. The second main point, the Portuguese bank account. In most of the visas, looking at, for example, your D7 visa, the government wants you to found a Portuguese bank account with enough stable resources to prove that you have means to survive in the country. And of course, there needs to be a number to be considered, and that number is the Portuguese minimum salary, 870 euros. We need to multiply that amount by 12 to have a reference of 1 year. This gives us 10,440. Now, if we bring other dependents, for example, if we bring a spouse as dependent, if we bring a minor or 2 minors, the amount, the 10,440, will increase 50% for the spouse and 30% per each minor. So based on this, together with your attorney, you can know exactly the amount that you will need to deposit on the Portuguese bank. Now, what is the biggest problem for the American? An American from New York City doesn't want to come to Portugal prior to have the residency process, the visa process approved. This person will need someone to act on his or her behalf and to complete the bank account opening. And that's how we can help these customers with. We can, again, with power of attorney, act on their behalf with our partner bank branches here in Portugal to have a bank account completely open without any stress. And once the account is open and we have all the necessary details that we can share with the customer will be ready to found that account with an international transfer, as usually happens, and the account will be completely funded for the visa application. Okay. So from now we have discussed the NIF and the bank account. What other items we can support? Before all of this, making a legal assessment to the client to make sure what type of visas could be suitable for this client and for the family. We have many customers that the only thing they are sure with is that they want to move to Portugal or they would like to, but they don't know what type of immigration programs the Portuguese government is offering them. Others that think that because they read online about the D7 visa or the D8, they have some rough idea about what they want, but they are not sure about the process. So all of this will require firsthand a legal assessment by a professional to make sure that that person is capable to apply for the visa that he intends to. And that's what we do usually on an initial consultation. We receive the customer and we can immediately have a case build up for the customer and the family. Moving forward, after we proceed with all these first items, Portuguese NIF, Portuguese bank account, the client will need document support throughout the process to make sure all the other documents will be in accordance to the checklist that we will provide them. There will be some documents that will need to be handled by the customer themselves in their own country, including, for example, the FBI background checks, among others, while other documents we can act on their behalf in the country. And we are going to put everything together to reach the final stage where we need to sit with the customer and see what we have And based on that, we conduct a document review service, and we are able to affirm with 100% assurance if the client is ready for the appointment or not, or if it's something missing and they should postpone a little bit their plans. After the visa appointment, so we also support on the transition to Portugal, so everything related to housing, everything related to utilities, everything related to acquiring the residence permit cards with the Portuguese immigration authorities, because it's important to reinforce that the process has two stages: a stage one in the Portuguese consulate and a stage two in Portugal to convert the visa that was granted into your resident card. And of course, you will need a professional here to help you out with the documents needed for this second interview, supporting you in person. It's also possible. We have several customers, because they want to be assured everything will be all right and they are stressed with the appointment, they will prefer to invite their lawyer in, and we can absolutely do that. So there are a lot of services. It's very difficult here in a short overview to explain everything in such detail, but everything is also on our website, and you can refer to Portugal Junkies website. They also have all of our information as their partners. And yeah, in case I need to proceed with further clarifications, everything is available on the online sources.
And I think it's important that you point out that obtaining the NIF is the first thing, and from again what I understand, it's not a major hurdle to get the NIF. It's just
knowing what
knowing how to, the simplest way of getting it.
Exactly. It's for the American, how we feel about the customers that we usually deal with. They would rather pay for that convenience. So they're not in the country. They know that probably in the future they will be, but they will just prefer to have that done and delegate that task. And that's it. Because if you're in Portugal, I have to say this, any people can get their own NIFs visiting the Portuguese tax authorities. The main issue is that most of them will not be in the country very, very soon, and the process will need to start. And for the process to start, we need to get this first hurdle down immediately. Yeah,
and again, well, one other question, because I think from a listener point of view is probably the second, if not the first thing on people's minds. You mentioned about bank account. Do you see there are delays, or just briefly, is there a way that you can sort of pick that out specifically and talk about that, how long it takes, or
yes,
do you go directly with a single bank type, or who?
So for the American, taking as example the American customer, since you're coming from a more developed country in relationship to Portugal, according to the bank that we work with, that is Santander Bank, there are no hurdles with the American customer. So from the moment we share with the bank the documents that are needed for the bank application, it takes, I would say, between 2 or 3 business days so they can upload you on the system and receive an approval from the central department. From the moment we have this approval, I have green light to call the bank and to arrange a time and date to visit them in person, showing my power of attorney. I will need to have that power of attorney signed at that time. The customer will need to ship us that power of attorney to our office here in Portugal. And with that, we can arrange a meeting to the bank, sign all the necessary paperwork, and get the application onboarded. From the moment the documents are signed, this is a process that, if everything goes well, if there is no problem with the signing, the process will be approved in less than 1 week.
Okay. That's amazing.
Which is completely different to how it worked for us. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and we're here today.
Well, this brings up a good point, because I get this, because we've been working with Joao for a year and a half, if not more than that. But we didn't have access to Joao when we were applying. So this was almost 2 years ago when we set, and so Joao did not help us with this A to Z
Absolutely.
process.
No.
And I often go, if I knew that all of this could have been handled in such a streamlined way with someone like him, I would have probably been like, please.
Gone with some element of the service.
It's not impossible to do by yourself, but it caused us so much strife and stress. And, you know, we had a lot of challenges along the way that we probably wouldn't have had. I'll just put it that way. Because hearing you talk about opening a bank account and having it done for someone within 10 days at the max at a bank that we recognize like Santander, it's like, yeah, we had a very different experience.
Yes,
So
indeed.
those are things that sometimes you're right. It's worth looking into and worth looking into paying for someone to help you that has access. Number one, you have the relationships.
Yeah.
It's
You know?
thinking that you are paying first for convenience and second for safety. So
Yes.
these two items properly combined and aligned are probably the two most important things
Right.
when you think about moving somewhere else, moving abroad.
Yeah. And do you, once the account is funded and everything is all good, what happens with the power of attorney? Is that then not required? Is it just the power of attorney only for the creation?
Yes, so for obvious reasons, first of all, for protection of the customer, we need to be very strict with the way we draft the power of attorney. We are receiving empowerment for only take care of the incorporation process, sign all the necessary paperwork, and request any necessary paperwork for the customer.
Right.
For obviously, we don't have any access to those accounts unless the customer expressly writes that on the power of attorney, which is something that we don't include for obvious reasons, for safety of our customers. So we are acting as proxies, attorneys, just to make sure the account is open and we are able to request all the necessary documents, for example, a bank statement that will be needed for the visa application date at the VFS appointment. Any customer will be free to change, modify the terms of the power of attorney. So this is not a fixed approach.
Listen, when we moved to Portugal not knowing a bit of Portuguese, I was so nervous about a lot of things. But the visa process was the most nerve-wracking, including the part where, you sign a legal document like a lease when you don't even know how to read the language. So we were referred to our lawyer, Joao Pinto, to get some help with translating, interpreting, and negotiating our lease in Porto. And he was so awesome that we've decided to keep him. But now, that one simple task that he helped us with has opened our eyes to everything that he does. He specializes in helping Americans move to Portugal, the entire visa process, and even buying a home here. We did our visa process all on our own, and now looking back, part of me really wishes that we had known Joao then and all that he could have helped us with to navigate the sometimes crazy path to get here. Good news for you though, he's graciously offered our listeners a free consultation call and a 10% discount. So, if you're looking for a trusted, certified lawyer in Portugal to help you with your move to Portugal before, during, or after, we highly recommend Joao. He's super responsive, so smart, and a great communicator. Head over to our social media accounts on Instagram or TikTok. Access our stand store in the bio, and you can download Joao's list of services for free and schedule your free call and get 10% off. Cheers, y'all!
So, Joao, do you do anything as in regards to your process or offer services to clients with like getting an apartment, getting a lease, all of that part of the D7 or the visa process?
Absolutely, that is inside the offer that we have on our immigration packages. So we help other expats finding their suitable accommodations for their visa applications. Just to provide a little bit of background, why the accommodation requirement is so important and why most of the customers they want to rely on legal assistance. Because they start the process a little bit lost. They start to see that they need to have a valid source of accommodation, This accommodation, if you don't opt to buy property, which will not happen in 99% of the cases unless you already had one, logistically doesn't make a lot of sense
Right.
for having the approval. Most people, they end up subscribing or signing a lease agreement that needs to be a 12-month lease agreement, by the way. And the main problem here is the moment you show up at the VFS or the consulate to apply for the visa, you need to have already a lease agreement signed. And this is a big hurdle on the process. And one of the items that brings more discussion over the forums and online content. Why? Because since the customer needs to have a lease agreement signed prior to the application date, this creates a logistic hurdle. The fact that or this person comes to Portugal to arrange the lease, to see the property, etc., or you will really need to find another solution. And that's why we have developed this one, to act on the client behalf, to arrange suitable accommodation, of course, respecting the client's intention, the client's requirements, the location that they want to live, the type of property, the type of accommodation, all the other equipments that could be considered. And together with our partner realtors, we are able to find suitable accommodation, suitable properties, according to the requirements provided by the customer. This will include helping them with the visits, showing them the properties using the video tour tools, negotiating, drafting, or reviewing the lease agreements to make sure, since they are signing a new legal contract in a new country, that the contract is protecting them from any future problems. And most importantly, where do I feel that we have more value is the fact that we can have a good or an important role on negotiating a clause that will prevent them to being liable for the full period of the contract. So in most of the leases, a 12-month lease, you only can get out of that lease after 8 months, standard by law, unless there is a different understanding between the parties. Most of people, they don't acknowledge that prior to sign the agreement. The approach that we often suggest is negotiating with the landlords that we will have a termination clause in the event of visa rejection, because we want to make sure that if our client's visa are rejected, that fact isolated will be immediately considered a cause for automatic termination. So that will eliminate the customer from any future financial effort and commitments that we all know they will be unfair, but they will be at the same time contractually binding. And yeah, this is what we do. We can help several items, and
I think that's a really good point that you bring in there. You know, in the event that the visa is not granted or whatever, that you're not on the hook for the next 8 months, minimum.
Let's imagine I applied 1 month ago and my visa was rejected today. The solution is the following, that I believe it's properly balanced. We're not thinking only on our client's interest, we're thinking on a balanced solution for the landlord as well. Everything that is to the past is to the past, so the rents that were due until that date, they are paid, they will not be recovered. What may be recovered are is actually one thing. The safety deposit that you have provided at the beginning of the property, you actually haven't used the property, so there was no way you could have provided damages to the property. So of course, that will need to be refunded by the landlord. That is not negotiable for us. The future rents, since the contract will automatically end with that date, the landlord will not be able to ask you for the future rents. I can tell you that without this solution, the comparison will be the following. The landlord, if they are not very comprehensive with you and they say like, okay, it's a contract, they will charge you the remaining period of the contract until you were able to exit, and that's it. And you will give yourself a problem.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very well thought through program of protection.
Yes. Well, and it's, you know, from a legal mind.
Right.
A lawyer is supposed to sit there and figure out every way to protect you on the planet.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that
really does.
Yeah, really does. I didn't even think about the whole idea of termination clause in case of visa denial. I love that.
Yeah.
For the landlord, it's not bad if we think a little bit outside the box. If I'm a landlord, I rent my property, I will not give you possession of that property because you're not in the country yet. I'm just signing an agreement with you as tenants, so you can use that for the consulate.
Yep.
And later, if everything progresses well, you will come to Portugal and you will want the key in your hands. But
right.
Until that happens, the possession of the property will still be in my sphere. So I'm not facing here any risk. I'm actually renting the property for free until I have a visa decision. So it's not a bad deal, at least on my perspective.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really important fact.
Yes.
Or factor to have, somebody on your side. Because one of the things, back in the US, you get a lot more, a buyer or a renter will have legal protections in the US, and I think that some of that isn't translated so well over here from a buyer's perspective, from a renter's perspective. So I think having some, yourself by the side to say, okay, make sure we're looking out for your interest here, here, and here. That one that says about the determination based on visa denial is a really, really big one. It's a really big one.
And I will say, this is the part that we had a really hard time wrapping our head around as we were trying to decide if we were going to apply for our visa, because we could not wrap our head around the fact that they want you to pay for an empty apartment, right? And that just is what it is. And so anybody who's out there going, is that for real? Yeah, it is for real. It is. It's one of those things that, is it something ideal? No, but it is the current requirement, and you need to have a signed lease when you go for your interview and application. And we went back and forth over that so many times. We were like, can this really be? And it is. It just is what it is. But I do think that that hurdle is the biggest hurdle. Yeah. I think it's probably the most personal one too, because you're like, where are we going to live? Once we're there, great, but where are we going to live, and where are we going to call home? And all the other stuff is, feels very black and white, right? It's like, get your NIF, put the money in the bank type of thing. But your home is an important piece of your transition and feeling good when you get here and all the things. And you've heard our stories.
Exactly.
We messed that up quite a bit.
Yes, immensely.
That's one of the best piece of advice that I can give is, when a family is thinking on moving from the US to Portugal, the information that you see online and the guides, they are very helpful, but please do not consider that as the only material or source that will help you forming your decision. We highly recommend you, when you're thinking or you're a little bit unsure if you should move to Portugal or not, to opt to have tailored validation about the items that you're looking online from a certified professional, because we want to prevent cases where people simply give up from moving to Portugal because they see misinformation online. This would probably be the worst thing that may happen, because you will live in the ignorance forever, and you will not take a decision based on false
fear of
assumption.
Yeah.
We call it our Portuguese roller coaster. We, for a good year beforehand, we would wake up one day and be like, we're going to move. We're going to do it. And then the next we'd be like, we're crazy.
We're not doing this, are we?
We are not really doing this, right? There's so many issues. What about the dog? What about the apartment? How do we get a bank account? All the things that give you every possibility to say no, because it's just you're scared and you don't know enough information.
Right.
But you can still be scared, but at least know the right information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you do all of this throughout the whole of Portugal from north to south.
Yes, that's
wherever they want to move.
Mark. So if our customers want to relocate to Porto, since we are based in the city, they will have access to, of course, a different type of support. But if they want to relocate somewhere else, that will not be a reason blocking us or preventing us to help them out. Portugal is not a very long territory, so we can easily get on the road for our customers. We regularly do that, so that will not be an issue at all. We also focus a lot on the Algarve region, actually your region. So we have flights from Porto to Lisbon, from Porto to Faro in the Algarve. So apart from the road, there are a lot of other good transport networks, and yes, that will not be a problem.
That's awesome.
Super duper.
These moments are good because we can simplify the way the expats will think about moving to Portugal. So it's a challenge, we all know that, but it's not very complicated. There are some steps that you need to take, and again, it's absolutely client choice to feel that if they need an attorney or not, in case they are aligned with the way that all of us think, everything will be much more productive, and they will most probably have the result that they want at the end, that is having the visa in hands, the resident card, and be absolutely free to explore all the beauties that Portugal has to
offer.
And we know.
One other thing that I would like to reinforce, the fact that this relationship between the attorney and the customer, of course, formally is a commercial relationship, but from our example, we can also see that, and this is applicable to most of our customers as well. We take high pride that a wide list of our customers end up developing personal relationship, or at least a connection, a tie with us, because they trust us when they have a problem, even if it's not legally related to immigration but to other items on their life, because they believe that we are knowledgeable enough to guide them through several departments here in Portugal, and we are very proud to see that over our practice. Actually, this is one of the reasons that makes me come out of my bed every day with a smile on my face and keep following the pathway that I started to follow when I started my practice. So
you're the best.
It's absolutely fantastic. We love it.
Just to remind everybody, you can get information about how to get in touch with João on our stand store at stand.store/Portugal Junkies. And you can click right there and we will get you in touch with him, and he offers a discount and a consultation call, and you can find out even more from this podcast how awesome he is by doing that. So
absolutely,
we're really excited. But thank you, João.
Thank you very much for your time.
And
absolutely fantastic.
So much for your
look
time.
forward to having you back.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us at Substack, TikTok, and Instagram at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!